Terrific Thursday, everyone. This is Furley Almonte, your host for Phases of Resilience, and we welcome you to another life changing edition. My goodness, I always meet the most interesting people who are game changers. Who are luminaries. Actually, I met a number of them through the Top Talent JV Mastermind event led by David Fagan and Isabel Fagan. And these amazing people that I meet all the time brings joy to my heart because I know that this world need people who are light workers. And today, my light worker is coming all the way from Costa Rica.
Rika.
So let me tell you a little bit about Vashon. Vashon, am I saying it correctly?
You are. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Vashon actually originated from New York. And so obviously there's a whole different culture in New York and also now in Costa Rica. But I am going to share with you my amazing friend because she is going to walk us through the journey of her moving to a whole different culture, a whole different place to find her new self again. So welcome to Faces of Resilience, Vashan.
Well, thank you so much, Furley. It's definitely my pleasure. I'm so grateful for you and your exuberance, and I just love your spirit. And it's just definitely my pleasure to be here. So thank you for inviting me.
Well, it takes one to know one. Before we came on air, we were just discussing, like, look at us working vibrant colors. We're just like, like candy. It's almost,
Yes.
yeah, it's just makes us all come alive. My goodness, I know I got the chance to speak with you before we came onto the show, and your story is quite juicy. So I would love for you to share with the audience your journey, starting from where you were in your life that you were not happy with, and so they can relate, and we can go from there. Go right ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So, like Furley mentioned, well, she did mention that my parents got my name from Hawaii Five O, the old version, and I was born in Brooklyn and raised in the Bronx in New York, and I felt like I was raised in that seen and not heard generation. So that created this dichotomy of discipline that was less than constructive, and in that I realized that abuse is anything that's detrimental to the growth of your soul. And that's what I experienced in my family, which helped me become who I am today. But at the time, felt abandoned. I was told I was fat, which made me feel like I was ugly and, unworthy, unloved, small, and inadequate. So this created this what I lovingly call the hot mess express. And that is my life. The bullet train to hurt, heartache, and despair. And what that looked like was a series of failed marriages, failed relationships, including with myself, loneliness. And I, got to a point where I was like, oh my gosh, I needed to start embracing my spirituality and turn into this magical being that I am now. But I had like these two pivotal moments in my life. And one of those was I was just getting out of a relationship with someone who tried to kill me twice. Not
Oh my
once, once
goodness.
wasn't good enough. Yeah. So twice. And I had a friend who, under the guise of assisting me, said, come stay with me. And I ended up being a glorified babysitter and so on and so forth. Ended up in a house with like no power, no water. It was a hot mess. Again, see? And
Wow.
and what I found was that I was, on the side of a road one day, just sobbing. And because I'm a singer and I write my own lyrics and things like that. So I was writing some poetry and lyrics and I just started sobbing. And I was trying to figure out how to drive my car into the lake because I felt just so bad. And how did I get here? And I was asking myself all those questions of like just feeling despondent and despair. And it came to me that I was the common denominator in this whole hot mess express.
Wait,
And
before you go there, okay,
yeah,
I'm sure people are wondering because there was something that you said that said like, you were they attempted to kill you, whoever that
Hmm.
person,
Hmm.
twice. Why did you have to go back to that person after the first one?
Because I was a people pleaser. And basically, what happened, the situation was, they showed up at my job, and I worked for a company that, they don't play. Like, if someone comes on the property and they do something, you'll get fired. So I was like, get out of here. And I was just trying to get them away from where I was working. So
Mhm.
they were asked for a ride, and I was like, oh, against my better judgment, I was like, all right, I'll give you a ride. And the crazy thing is, we go to get on the highway because they wanted to go downtown, and I lived in Florida at the time. And we go to get on the highway, and I have never seen it this way since, and never before and after. The highway was so backed up, like in both directions, we couldn't get on. So, and now I know why. So we're in the car, and they asked me a question, and I guess I didn't, and me and my newfound confidence answered it in, not a so constructive way, because I forgot real fast what I was dealing with. And they got upset, and then they leaned themselves across the front of the windshield of the car and grabbed the steering wheel. So I'm thinking about is, we're in rush hour traffic. I don't want to hit anybody. Keep this car, go on the road. Don't hit anything, don't hit anybody, that whole thing. So that's all I'm thinking about. So I'm holding this car straight. I don't know how. And he goes to let go, like he loosens up on the wheel enough that I thought he's going to let go. He didn't. And then he swerved the car. So the car goes up on this embankment because there was construction, and on two wheels we're going, and I'm concentrating on is trying to keep this car from doing any damage to anybody else. I'm safe in the car basically. So after that, we come to a stop. Thank goodness I didn't hit anything. No one hit me. And literally, rush hour, bumper to bumper traffic. I don't know how this got accomplished, but of course I do now. God was looking out for me. My guides and all that was looking out
Yeah.
for me. So yeah. So
Because
that's how I got into that situation for the second time.
because I was I'm just wondering, okay, you have been on this hot mess train, as an adult. What is the impact of your family growing up? Because you did say a few things about, your family being obviously not the most ideal situation. At the same time, you feeling like you're not pretty enough, thin enough, and all that. Would you say, or is it safe to say, and the reason why I'm asking you this is because there's a lot of viewers who are looking to relate to who you
Hmm.
were, when you were a hot mess, so to speak. So,
Yeah.
from the childhood, what was it that actually was the most impressionable moment for you that you felt like you were not worthy?
Well, that's a good question. I think what it was, I remember there was a couple instances, but there's two, but the one that stands out is one of abandonment. So, um, but I'll go to the first one. So the youngest one, I was about 3 years old in preschool, had a dance recital, and I got myself all dressed and ready for this dance recital, and I was like, okay, we have to be there at a certain time, and I'm waiting, and they're like, oh, you have to wait for your aunt, but I'm like, all right, fine. So it gets to this time, and it's going and going, and I'm sitting there dressed, tap shoes on, everything, right, and they're just passing me by, the people that lived in my house, and I'm like, hello, I'm here, we got to go somewhere. And my aunt finally shows up like 3 hours later. I'm
Oh,
like, yeah. And luckily, I mean, we they were like, oh, we'll get you over there. So we get over there. It's at the end. And the only reason I know it's at the end is because there was this dance company that they do one number at the end. And I remember standing in the back of the room, just so upset and sobbing because I felt like my voice didn't matter. I wasn't seen. It didn't matter what I had to do because I was meant to be seen and not heard. And they would get around to me, when it was convenient. And so that was what it was impressionable to me. And then after that, at 5, my dad left, and he had some of his own issues. And so that abandonment, so it was just like it just created these limiting beliefs in my mind of, who I was and how I needed to show up in the world to be accommodating. So I used to do whatever I needed to do, whatever that looked like, to be seen, to be heard, and then, to hide as well. So yeah, it was
Very
just a long.
interesting why you want to be seen, but in the same way you said you wanted to hide because you did say about how many people actually deal with weight issues, right? How many
Mhm.
people have dysfunctional family situations, and in a way, you want people to see your family and yourself as being a happy clan, so to speak. And then here you are battling through many deep emotions that are very hurtful to you, which
Mhm.
I see, would you say, carried through your relationships, that you trying to please your family members carried through your wanting to please your partners, life
Partners,
partner.
right?
Yeah. And then, of course, and then, okay, here comes the accidents and all that. You're going to be killed. When was that moment that you said, I want to just drive my car into the river? What was
Well,
going
I
through your mind?
so what was going through my mind, I had been diagnosed years ago with bipolar depression. So I always had this journey of ups and downs, and really just not feeling like I deserved to be here. The world would be better without me, that kind of thinking. So I realized in that moment, like I said, I didn't have any hot water, I didn't have any power. I had to be out of the place, but it wasn't my place, so it was just a storm, brewing. And for me, going to the water was very therapeutic. I love going. It doesn't have to be the ocean or whatever. This was a lake, so I just figured I would just go and write, and just get my thoughts out, and express it in either a song or in a poem. And as I was doing that, I guess just everything just came down on me and was just like, you know what, this is ridiculous. I'm tired of this life. I'm tired of living, being shape shifting, not having the happiness that I know that I deserve, on one level, because, or else you wouldn't survive, right? So on some level, that you deserve more. You don't know how to get it, and you don't fully believe that. So you're still doing the shape shifting thing, which is what you were kind of speaking to
Were
in
you
my
getting help for
relationships.
your bipolar depression?
I did over the years. I'm the worst medicine taker. So I've been on. I started on lithium. I've done all the things, all the drugs that they give you. I was on and off of them. I took myself off. Do not. I'm not advising that. That was just me and my thing. Consult your doctor. But I, would stop if I didn't like the way a medicine made me feel. I just stopped taking it. I'm getting off of that. And I just dealt with it by writing and channeling it into my music and things like that. So that's how I really dealt with it
No, because
until.
this topic, by the way, is very, very relevant right now because we know of Simone Biles and Naomi Osaka, who actually are on the top of their game, Olympic level and all that, and not being able to perform at their optimum best because they're going through their mental issues. And I could just imagine, like, they got the spotlight because they're celebrities, but there are so many people just like you who are going through depression or bipolar disorder, and so but do not know. But then again, by your own admission, you were also non-compliant, and so
Mhm,
that makes it a little bit more challenging for you to manage
mhm,
your mental disorder, right?
mhm,
And so we're going back to that moment, because that is like quite life changing, that you actually
mhm,
have entertained the idea of taking your own life.
mhm. Yeah.
Where were you at that time in your mind that you had
Mhm.
to do that?
Well, that wasn't the first time I had that thought, and any that's like twice or third time in my lifetime, right? And in that moment, I was just really feeling like, WTF, like, what's going on? How did I get myself here again? another it was like I said, it's like a storm. So it's like another failed relationship. And then I've been taken advantage of again, and I had things stolen from me, and there was just so many things going on, and I just felt like, what is the point? What's the point? What's the point to this life? Why do I need to be here? Obviously I'm not contributing, the way that I think I am, or showing up the way that I think I am. And I realized in that moment that I was really wearing a mask. Like, I was putting on this face that I was happy and I was always smiling and I was there for everybody, but dying on the inside. So really, it was just this duality that was going on inside of me that just came to a head, basically.
So
And
what stopped you from going through with it?
I heard, the answer came to me, which was that I was the common denominator. And for some reason, for most people, they might be like, well, you're trying to say I'm to blame. I didn't create this. Yes and no. But I was the common denominator in that I realized, oh, because I didn't love myself, I created all of this. Because I, all the time my mother used to say, well, if you can't love yourself, then how can you love anybody else? And I used to be like, that's a crock of crap. I love people wholeheartedly and I love hard. And I did. And from a faulty place of love, from conditional love, not unconditional love. And that in that moment, I realized I could change this, that I was, like I said, the common denominator and everything that lovingly I call the hot mess express. And since I was a common denominator, I could do something with myself, because that's the only person I can do anything with or change or make any moves with. So in that realization, it changed my whole way of thinking. So I started really working on myself, and doing simple things, just looking at myself in the mirror and saying, oh, I love you, and there's times I would look at myself and just bawl, because I realized for so long, I never loved that person I've been looking at. I've always looked at her with criticism, with hatred, with, and just disdain.
Yeah.
And I was able to finally start looking at myself, in the mirror, just simply saying, I love you, I like you, and looking at the things that I thought were flaws and saying, I love that, just really building myself up slowly but surely. So yeah.
I love I love what you said about realizing the one thing that you can control, that is yourself. Oftentimes I say this to a lot of people, if there are several things that keep happening, okay, could it be possible that what's wrong or what needs work is you? Because
Yes.
if this keeps coming down with the same result, like Albert Einstein, right? Like doing the same things over and over, expecting a different result. And
Insanity.
that's complete insanity. Exactly.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you wanted to stop that insanity, and you did something different that you have full control of, and that is yourself. By the way, you
Mhm.
did also mention about music therapy, you writing songs and all that. How did that help you in being able to express your feelings and frustrations?
Well, since I was 10 years old, I started writing poetry, because that was the only way that I could have my voice be heard in a safe way. Because even when I journaled, but my mother would get a hold of my journal and read it, and then it'd become a thing, and that didn't always work as well. So I started writing poems and songs, and I can veil what I was feeling in and put it all into a song or into a poem. And that was the way that I could express myself. And I really believe that that saved my life, like poetry and music, because that was my outlet. That was my way to express myself. And I did go to therapy over the years, but I never really took advantage of it, because I never felt safe to be vulnerable with the therapist, because especially being a kid, they go back and tell your parents what they say, and now that's a thing. So I learned that. So these are just things I've learned over time, to wear this mask, and I was ready to, take that mask off.
And
And
that's beautiful. Now, from the Bronx, Why Costa Rica? Where did that come from?
Well, COVID happened. And then when COVID
Okay.
happened, um, I realized I looked up again and was like, a friend of mine held a mirror up to me and was like, what do you see? And I was like, this is some crap. This relationship isn't working for me. This job doesn't make me happy. My life, what is going on? So I really just started, I broke up with who I was dating at the time. I started losing weight. And then a miraculous thing happened in September of last year. I got with Earth Waking University and I went to this Awaken Life Live and it changed the trajectory of my life. Now, I realized that I look at myself now, right? And I say, oh my gosh, I am who I always thought I could be. But it was highly unlikely because of all those limiting beliefs that I had. But because I sat there and realized I could be 100% responsible for my life, that I could, it just changed my life. I healed myself of fibromyalgia, bipolar, all those ailments that I had or diseases that I had in my life. I healed myself all of that in an instant because I looked at someone and saw, oh, if they could do it, I could do it. And
So
that's
this
what
was
I do.
all happening while you were still in New York, or when you moved to
This was
Costa
when I
Rica?
was in Florida and I moved from Florida to Costa Rica. And so basically what happened was I was in the leadership program and then I started leading the program and someone was like, well, are you planning, I believe in building sustainable communities and all of that. And they were like, are you planning to move to Costa Rica? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, so what's stopping you from doing it now? And I thought about it and I was like, nothing stopped me from doing it. So like in a month's time, I decided to sell all my stuff, put what I really thought I wanted into storage and moved.
My
And
goodness,
I
like,
thought I was just coming for a visit, but it ended up being more permanent.
wow. So do you own a home there, condo, or do you rent? Do you share it with all of these people in your leadership group, or what's the situation there?
So we live in a community together and we each have our own, separate casitas, but we all live together and we, commune for breakfast and we get together and and then we go our separate ways and do our work through the day. But yeah, so we all live together in it's a resort style type place. And we
I love
just
it. Casitas, like a little home, right?
a little home. Yes, exactly. A little home. Yep. Yes, exactly. Yep.
How would you, what would you, if you have to name three things that are most different about your life in New York and in Costa Rica, what are they?
Mm, that's a really
Oh,
good question. So three things that are most different would be my that I know that I'm a powerful creator. So the confidence that I have in myself is
so the way
like,
you feel about yourself, okay?
yes. So the way I feel about myself, um, that I'm 100% like responsible for my life. No one's coming to save me. I'm it. I'm so I am the change that I want to see in life. So, how I show up, so that's different. And that I've let go of my heirloom blueprint, the things that I grew up, the things that I was programmed with and domesticated and all the limiting beliefs and all of that. So that's totally different as well. So those would be the three things that
Funny how you said that. I actually love it because one of the trainings that I went to today, one of the topics that we discussed was that your prism is your prison. Oftentimes the beliefs that have been downloaded to you becomes your prison because you
yes.
believe that's all you are capable of receiving and all that. Now, did it lead you to your higher purpose in life?
Yes. It's like I've always been on this journey to get there and it's led me to being this dynamic leader. I speak to people. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a life coach and I just have that um perspective on life just from my own mess to message that I can take it and assist other people. So yeah.
So you became a life doula. You have to
Yes, a
explain
life
to
doula.
people what the heck is a life doula.
Well, my wonderful sister friend came up with the life doula, and I had always considered being a birth doula, and then I was looking into training for death doula, and she said, "Oh my God, I want to be a life doula instead of life coach," and I was like, "Oh, that resonated so much with me." So I was like, "Oh my gosh, life doula," and basically, if anybody knows what a doula is, they basically are there, kind of hand holding you, walking you home, whether it's through your birth experience or death, and now in this case through your life, leading you through your life purpose, and taking you from where you are to where you say you want to be, and then having them meet in the middle. So
That's really quite interesting because it's a very, very unique name and I love it. So,
yeah.
for those people who are looking to give birth to their new selves, what would be the three most powerful advice that you can give them so they can begin to live a life that's free of the prison that they have put themselves in?
Mm. I think number one is that the greatest love of all definitely is the love of self. Without the love of self, you cannot do anything else, because otherwise you're not even being who you really are. So that's like number one, and probably with a big star and a circle around it. So yeah. Um, the other thing is to consider that what you know is not everything that there is. That a lot of what we think we should do, how we think we should be, how we think we should show up is all things that are put on us, that we've been programmed with, domesticated with, and made to shapeshift into what, um, people think we should be. So if we can let go of that perspective, that would be helpful. So that would be two. And let me see.
How do they get out of being a hot mess?
That was going to be my third one, is really believing in the impossible, believing that miracles happen every day, and that you were the first miracle, and just being you is all that the world needs. So however that is, whatever that looks like, that is one of the most important ingredients. So just being you and understanding where you're at and where you want to go, the rest is the rest is possible. So
So, how do you help people right now? Do you coach them privately or do you do group coaching programs? What programs do you have in place right now that you can invite people to?
sure. I do group coaching, as well as I do individual one-on-one, whether it's for like relationships or specific area in your life, like health, relationships, spiritual connection, whatever you're trying to work on, or if it's just your general life purpose. So I just help people wake up to themselves, and that's how I do it with the group coaching. And I have group events that they can come to. Also, anything that I do in conjunction with earth waking, more than welcome to attend. So I just, insist them in remembering who they are.
So, how do they get in touch with you?
So they can go to my website, which is morewithv.com. So they can go there. I have there's a lot about me, and then my coaching services. They can go there and find out anything they need to know, or they can just fill out the contact form and say, hey, I don't even know what I need help. So yeah.
I love that. So, I love the name More with V. That's more with Moor with V.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh. It's
You
just,
know, I
yep.
love it. So as you can very well see, you can be on a hot mess and have a life that can impress. I just made that
Yes, I love that so much.
up. So it's absolutely amazing. As I can feel the joy and freedom in you, in your spirit, that you have been doulad. Is that the right word to say?
Yes, that's good. I love that. You've been doing.
Do like becoming this spectacular version of yourself, who is
Yeah.
happy with who she is, who is actually free to become the person that she was born to be, and also be able to help so many other people that have been going through what you've been through. That is,
Mhm.
having very low self-esteem, feeling invisible, feeling bullied, and at the same time, wishing to end it all. And see,
Yeah.
despite the many adversities we go through in life, when we choose to become resilient, magic
Mm.
happens. And that's
Yes,
exactly
I
the
love
reason
that.
why. Yeah, and that's the reason why I always share one of the quotes that I love by Carl Jung. You are not what happened to you, you are what you choose to become. And so you've
Mm.
chosen the path of becoming a life doula so you can empower others who may be walking on the path that you've been through, and
Yep.
bring them into their light. So, any last words? This have been absolutely incredible, and it's so wonderful to have met you. I love that you share your vibrant soul with so many others. Any last word of advice that you'd like to share before we go?
Well, I just like to leave people with, live a life that you love now. Because when would now be a good time? That's what I always say to people. When would now be a good time? So,
Yes,
yeah.
your time is now. And
Yes.
you can start that by connecting with Vaishan on More with V. So there it is. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's heartwarming, it's inspiring, and no matter what you're going through, no matter how you feel like, this is the end of it. No, the end of it, you can change. Basically, we are the story that we have within ourselves. We can have the power. We have the power to change the ending to our story. And
Yes.
you can do that by having a doula, a life doula, hold your hand in the process into your awakening, into the birth of your new self. Okay, so thank you so very much, Vashon.
Thank
It was such
you.
a great pleasure to interview you. Thank you for sharing your light. And so I hope that you got inspired and you know, find another string of hope to hang on to when you're going
Yes.
through tough times. All right. That is our story of resilience. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
How Costa Rica, what time is it there now?
It should be 4:30.
Oh, okay, so it's in the afternoon there. So good evening from here, good night, and from
Yes.
Costa Rica, good afternoon. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I look forward to seeing you again. And I hope that you connect with Vashan more, your life doula. Until then, this is Furley
Thank you.
Almonte, your host for Faces of Resilience. Take care now. Bye bye.
Bye.